Hello and welcome back to another episode of Woodworking by Edgar. This is part 7 of my series of rebuilding my wooden rowboat. I'm going to show you building these 4 sections that will fit in on the bottom of the boat. I will also show you fiberglassing this top deck and epoxying it. So I have started working on the floorboards in this boat. This boat, as you can see, has a bunch of framework in the bottom, so it would make it a little bit difficult to walk across the bottom of this boat. So originally Everett had fitted these pieces in, that they were plywood, and I decided instead of doing plywood I would like to do some Douglas fir and have it be just varnished instead of painted. So this is what I'm starting to do here. These are the pieces of Douglas fir. These are a couple of pieces of Douglas fir runners, which I will screw here, and then this whole floor will pick up similar to what this plywood was. Everett had put a little hole here where you would just pick up the piece of plywood, and but I decided I would just make it out of Douglas fir instead of plywood. Amazingly, these pieces of plywood are fitting in to the boat fairly well. This one here would need to have just a little bit trimmed off on that side, but I'm pretty pleased with the fact that I could take part of the old boat and put it into the new one and it would fit fairly close. I also have one of the original seats that went in the boat, and it looks like that seat also fits pretty good where it is. The original boat had a couple of pieces of wood that went in underneath the seat to hold it up, and I saved those pieces and I will put them back on again, but it does look like that seat is going to fit pretty good in this boat, so I'm pleased with that also. To make up the floorboards, I bought some 2x8s that were Douglas fir. Then I cut them down in half and then ran them through the table saw to make up the pieces that would be slightly less than 3/4 of an inch for the boards. I also made up the frames that these boards would be screwed onto out of these 2x. I then did a lot of sanding to make everything look nice and smooth and to be finished. I then routed all the edges to make a smooth edge on the sides of the boards. So I'm screwing down these floorboards. They're Douglas fir, and I have pre-drilled all my holes. They're going into this piece of Douglas fir here, and this whole piece will come out, comes up this way here, and it will be able to clean out in the bottom and also drain out any water that's left there. There are limber holes on each one of these frames as it comes together with this frame here. That will allow water to travel from one compartment to the other. Good morning, and it is a beautiful day out here this morning, so I decided to bring the boat outside, and even though it's still cool out, we do have some snow left around, but it just is a gorgeous spring day today. So I'm going to be sanding down the epoxy on the top, and I filled in a lot of these areas where it was rotten, and just some of the voids that there was between the boards have all been filled in with thickened epoxy. And so now I'm going to sand everything down and get ready to do my fiberglass on the top. I have my fiberglass cloth all cut out and laid on here, and I have got my epoxy all mixed. and so I'm going to start putting epoxy into the fiberglass cloth and matting it down. Typically I don't work in the sun, but today it's cool outside. It's about 45 degrees, so working in the sun is okay. But if it's warm out, you don't want to work in the sun because the epoxy will dry too fast. So here I start by pouring some epoxy in the center of the fiberglass cloth I'm going to mat down, and then I just keep working it out towards the edges to keep any air bubbles from forming underneath it. Don't want to get any air bubbles underneath, so you've got to keep working your way out. I'm just mixing up another batch of epoxy here, and I'll finish this up with this batch. I want this fiberglass cloth to roll up onto the dashboard a little bit to tie that joint together. So now the fiberglass cloth has all been matted down and coated with epoxy, and it looks pretty nice and clear. It is now time to watch it dry for a few hours until I will give it another coat to fill in all of the weave of that fiberglass cloth. So I'm mixing up some more epoxy, and I'll give this deck another coat. And I have also coated some of my floorboards here. This isn't completely dry, it's just a little bit tacky. The fiberglass cloth, I can still bend it a little bit, so it's slightly tacky, and then I can give it another coat before it cures without sanding. If I don't give it a coat now, I will have to wait until it cures, and then I have to sand it, and then I can give it another coat. Here I am trimming off the excess that sticks out with that fiberglass cloth. It just trims off pretty easily with a knife when it is not completely cured, but somewhat hard. Thank you for watching my videos. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos as they come up.